Hey, what's up, Cameron? Hey, everybody. So we're doing the fantasy football fallout. Hey, Cameron, have you ever been on? Forgive me if we've chatted and stuff before. I'm so sorry because I'm growing this year. But have you ever been on the channel before? Or did you just come across one of the lives? And for the rest of the crowd here, I'm just pulling up some graphics because I generally run all of these guys. And I'm going to be cutting these segments up as I run through each position. So what I'm going to do, I am going to be recording this live. So I'm going to kind of break off, do the recording. And then if you have any questions about any of the positions, I'll wrap them up, basically after each position. I'm going to go quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense, and special teams. It's probably going to, honestly, an hour to get through everything. So I'm sure people will be coming in and out. What I do in these recordings, and you'll probably hear me say this a second time once I get up and running here, but what I do is I go through the projected top 10 who actually scored in the top 10, because it's always interesting to see how many people you could have had off of waivers inserted into your lineup that would have been difference makers. Everybody thinks that you have to have the star quarterback in your lineup or you're screwed. And so, when it comes to, people always asking me for trade advice and, should I trade this guy and this guy? Usually I'm saying, well, let's be patient. What's on waivers? That's usually my first question, because week to week, there's a reason people become daily fantasy football millionaires, every week, because people can find these matchups. So I compare those two, then I give away some of my own awards. One's the Nutkick Award, one's the I'm Watching You Award. This is a weird week, and then I close up with some waiver wire advice, some early waiver wire advice, I should say, because I always come out with a waiver wire segment a little bit later in the week. So with no further ado, I am going to get recording. Like I said, I'm going to start with quarterbacks, and I'm just going to open it up like I open up my usual recordings. I'll be cutting up, adding graphics and everything, and they'll be uploaded tomorrow, kind of the more polished professional version. So here we go. Fantasy football quarterback. Actually, let me try one more time. Fantasy football fallout quarterback edition. We're going to be talking about who is projected to score in the top 10, who did score in the top 10. We're going to be giving away the awards, the Fantasy Football Fallout Quarterback Award for the player that kicked me in the nuts the most this week. If somebody kicked you in the nuts, I want to know who it is. Please, by the way, everybody, like, comment, and subscribe. It's always good to know. It's always good to commiserate when somebody really nailed you right in the crotch. And then I also have an I'm Watching You award. Somebody caught my eye this week, and they need to be on your radar. Not saying you need to pick them up this week, but they should be on your radar. So why don't we just jump right in, as I always do, with the projected top 10 in terms of ESPN scoring. Those quarterbacks were as follows: Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Tom Brady was the third projected quarterback this week. Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, and Matt Stafford. Now, who actually finished in the top 10? For those seeing the graphic, this is the ones in white. The names in white were the ones ESPN got correct. Dak Prescott, number 1 overall. Cam Newton, the 2nd overall quarterback. Josh Allen, number 3. Russell Wilson, 4. Kyler Murray, 5. Patrick Mahomes, 6. Joe Burrow, the rookie, 7. 61 passing attempts will do that for you. Matt Ryan, 8. Gardner Minshew, 9. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, don't be surprised at either one of those last two names. You wouldn't think that they're going to be weekly top 10s, and frankly, they're not going to be weekly top 10s, but they will be regular top 10s. And so Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's up and down. We know that throughout the career, and I've been saying this for weeks. Gardner Minshew is in Jay Gruden's offensive system. That offensive system produced top 10 quarterbacks out of Andy Dalton and Kirk Cousins. And Gardner Minshew actually runs better. He uses his legs better than any of those guys. So they should be on your radar. We'll talk about them in just a bit. Now, I'm going to give away my award for the quarterback that kicked me in the nuts. The Kicked Me in the Nuts award goes to Ryan Fitzpatrick of the Miami Dolphins. Not because he scored the top 10. It actually didn't impact my fantasy rosters. But as people of this channel know, I do like to make picks against the spread. I am not playing Westgate, the Super Contest, this year. Although if I was, this pick would have been in at the Buffalo over Miami, the late cover with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick looks like if Conor McGregor turned himself into a garden gnome. That's basically what you get with Ryan Fitzpatrick there. So the I'm Watching You award goes to Justin Herbert from the Los Angeles Chargers. I watched that game live. He looks really good. He was a little bit jittery. You got to keep in mind, he found out he was starting about 5 minutes before the game or whatever it was. He didn't have practice reps this week. He played very good. Frankly, if he had had a full week of practice, they probably would have pulled off that upset. I like this Chargers team. I've been talking garbage about him the last week. I just don't like Tyrod Taylor on this team. Justin Herbert, he looked a lot, he executed this offense a lot like last year's offense, I think, for the Chargers. They still need to use Austin Eckler more in the passing game, but this Chargers team is much better, in my opinion, with Herbert. Now, is this going to be the case? Is Tyrod Taylor going to get the job back once he's healthy? I don't know. We'll see. Quickly, for the waiver wire acquisitions, the early waiver wire acquisitions as of Sunday night, Ryan Tannehill is still my number one waiver wire. Look, back half of last season, I've been saying it's not a fluke. Throws 4 touchdowns today. I think he threw two or three touchdowns on Monday night against a pretty decent, pretty good Denver Broncos team. He's a guy, and he uses his legs too. He's a guy that should definitely be on everybody's radar. Only owned in 34.4% of the leagues as of the time of this recording. Gardner Minshew, I already talked about. I like them spreading it around. Tyler Eifert got in the end zone this week. The new running back they have there is very, very good. This Jacksonville Jaguars team is better than everybody thinks they are. And Gardner Minshew, I think he could be a top 10 quarterback when all is said and done this season. If you're in a super flex league, he needs to be on your team if he's available. If you're in a regular league, just snap him up. Jared Goff, he's the benefactor of an improved running game there, 37.7%. Joe Burrow, look, if Cincinnati is going to throw the ball 61 times and they're going to be running quarterback draws, you need to have that quarterback on your roster. We saw last season Cincinnati wants to be a passing team. When they literally had no options left, they then started giving the ball to Joe Mixon, and that's when he broke out. Well, now they have Burrow. They like him. 2 games in, I got to be honest with you, 2 games into his career without preseason games to do what he did on Thursday Night Football on a short week of prep time, it's very impressive, very impressive. And Cincinnati has weapons as well. And last one I mentioned, Justin Herbert. I think he's going to be more mobile than you might think. And I'm telling you, he had opportunities in this passing game. Mike Williams is on the verge of busting out, but he's been on the verge of busting out for about 5 years now. So don't hold your breath. Oh, man, Claudio, just answering some questions from the live stream right now. Everybody close out this video. Herbert did have Eckler working. I'd like to see, I think if I remember correctly, I could be misrepresenting, but I believe Eckler had 4 receptions. I'd like to see that at 8. I found it was odd that Eckler, I think he had 5.8 yards per carry. And this is a game I watched live, and he looked like a running back that was getting 5 or 6 yards per carry. But Joshua Kelly out-touched him in terms of rushing attempts. I think it was 23-16. That's got to be inversed, in my opinion. Saquon and Mostert. Oh, boy. Oh, Claudio. What a week for you. Now, Mostert, it looks like it might be an MCL from what I was reading today, but Saquon, man, ouch, 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 ouch. Christian, your question, rank them. Drake, McLaurin, Deontay Johnson. I'm guessing this is for starting next week. Drake to me is number 1 there, and I'm going to go with Deontay over McLaurin. Now, let me look at the matchup. I have next week's matchups written down here. Pittsburgh, who are you playing, Pittsburgh? Where are you? You are escaping me. Pittsburgh is playing Houston, so I do like that matchup for Deontay Johnson. Washington is playing Cleveland. So actually, I don't mind that matchup for them either. I'm going to go with the better quarterback, though. I know that Haskins has to rely on McLaurin, but I think I think because of Haskins being a little bit raw, I think McLaurin's going to be a little up and down. He'll get targets, but I think Deontay Johnson gets more quality targets. So I'm actually going to start, and I'm starting Deontay in my team next week as well. So for our YouTube crowd, that's going to wrap up our quarterback segment. We'll catch you on the other positions very, very shortly. Check out those other videos. And for our live stream, just a reminder, I'm doing the Fantasy Football Fallout. This is a live recording. I'm going to be cutting up all these segments and posting them tomorrow with graphics and video overlays and all that kind of stuff. But this is just kind of the raw content. So I figured I'd open it up. If you have any questions, go ahead and, live chat them. I'll be answering them. I am going to be doing this as a recorded video. So I'm going to be doing the running backs next. I'm going to work my way through it. And then once I'm done there, I'll get back to the questions there. So, keep them coming. I'm keeping an eye on them. I'm just kind of rolling through my video as usual. So here we go. I'm going to start the Fantasy Football Fallout for the running backs this week. Fantasy Football Fallout running back edition. We're talking about week 2. What happened in week 2? How does it affect week 3? We're going to be giving you waiver wire acquisitions. If waiver wire all you want to see, all you're interested in, just click the timestamp below. It'll take you right to that. But what I like to do to start, by the way, please, everybody, like, comment, subscribe. You can find follow details below as well. Follow me on Twitter at TFS_Sean. As people who are viewing the live content now know, I'm also doing live streams on this channel. It's a little bit new this season, so you can tune in, day to day, to kind of see what I'm going to be doing live. But the way I like to start these videos, I like to go with ESPN's projected top 10. Starting next week or maybe week 4, I'm going to be including my projections on there as well. But for now, we're just using the ESPN's top 10. Then I like to show you who actually finished in the top 10. Then I give away my awards. This week I have a kicked in the nuts award for the running back position. If somebody got you in the pills, you let me know. Somebody got you right between the legs, a running back, and I think mine is probably the same as yours there. Let me know, comment, all that stuff. Oh, TC. One of the live streamers right now is commenting you have Barkley. Which we'll be talking about that shortly. I'm also handing out the I'm Watching You award. Somebody caught my eye. They need to be on your radar, and they're available on waiver wire. I'm talking about next week's starter. You have him available on your waiver wire. You need to fight for him ASAP. All right, let's get in here. The ESPN projected top 10 for this week, week 2. I should say this past week if you're picking this up. Christian McCaffrey, number 1. Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kenyon Drake, and Josh Jacobs. Now, to be fair, I'm recording these on Sunday night, so Monday night football games have not happened. Therefore, Kamara and Jacobs, they could very well finish in the top 10. But who did score in the top 10 as of the time of this recording? Number 1, Aaron Jones, phenomenal game. And last week, by the way, everybody, I watched this game. I watched every single game. Last week, Aaron Jones could have had 3 touchdowns. He's going to have a monster season. Last year wasn't a fluke, everybody. You could have gotten him in the second round. I did. I'm happy with it. Leonard Fournette, number 2. I don't think that's a fluke either. I'd never been a believer in Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones had a horrible handoff exchange with Tom Brady, maybe the worst I've ever seen. I'm not exaggerating at all. It was awful. And that opened the door to Fournette, and that's all Fournette needed. He runs with power. He catches the ball. He can be a 3-down back. And he closed out that game for Tampa Bay. So keep an eye on that. I'm not sure. It might be 50-50 in the next couple of weeks, but Fournette will have that job sooner rather than later. You had Nick Chubb at number 3, Christian McCaffrey at number 4, Kareem Hunt at number 5. I did grade those both as starts, so feather in my cap. Not to say I didn't whiff on some others throughout the week. Mike Gesicki at tight end being one of those, by the way. James Robinson, number 6, Ezekiel Elliott, number 7, James Conner, number 8, Jonathan Taylor, number 9, David Montgomery, number 10. Now, let's talk about the awards. I don't think there's any surprise here. This is like the most obvious, award in quite some time. The You Broke My Heart and My Balls award. The You Kicked Me in the Balls. The Kicked in the Nuts award goes to Saquon Barkley. I don't even have him on my team. And it just is like, that's a gut kick. That's a crotch kick. That's every kind of kick in the lower abdomen area that you would ever want to take. That one hurts. That one hurts bad. Giants certainly fear that he blew out his knee. And what's particularly bad is you can't really even get a handcuff there. Dion Lewis, they brought him over as kind of the insurance to Saquon Barkley. I guess they're similar backs in terms of, you don't want to say skill set, but style of play. And I like Dion Lewis, don't get me wrong, but he's just not going to get you what Saquon is, and Wayne Gallman's not either. That's a bad one. And there's nothing you can do. I mean, if one of these top 5 running back picks goes down, like if Nick Chubb goes down and you had like Kareem Hunt stashed on your roster, you'd be in good shape. If Alvin Kamara goes down, New Orleans, they can run the ball. Latavius Murray can pick him up. You're in good shape. When the fantasy football community loses a running back like Saquon Barkley, or you could say, knock on wood, Christian McCaffrey, something like that, you're just never going to make up that volume and the point total again. It's just not going to happen. So that's a bummer. Now, my I'm Watching You award, somebody caught my eye. I'm gonna give this to Daryl Henderson, because once Cam Akers went out with the rib injury, and we don't know if this is going to be a multiple week thing or not. Ribs are pretty tough to run through if you're getting hit in the ribs the whole time, right? Daryl Henderson took that opportunity. He kind of appeared. So, hey, welcome to the NFL. You've only been in the league for about 17 games now, 18 games. But he ran well, and he did well with his opportunity. I'm going to talk about another one. I'm going to wait, and I'm actually going to use the waiver wire screen to talk about this guy. But first of all, and he's the number 1 player on my list here, Jerick McKinnon of San Francisco. He's available. He's only rostered in 18.9% of the leagues as of the time of this recording. I'm sure tomorrow morning that's probably going to be more like 30 or 40%. Get in on him now. If you're watching the live stream right now, go out and pick him up, because I think best case scenario for Mostert at this point, in terms of what I've been reading, is 3 to 4 weeks. That means you're going to get, and remember, San Francisco is going to have some, wide receiver issues. Deebo Samuel's still in the IR, not eligible to come back until week 4. I think this this offense is going to support 2 running backs easily all year long, but now they're going to be relying on them even more. Jerick McKinnon is a slam dunk running back. You need to pick him up ASAP. I'm going to fight for him too, but I just know my waiver position. There's no way I'm going to get him. Dion Lewis is number 2, just based on volume. You got to figure he's going to be getting the lion's share of the carries. He certainly did after Saquon went out, but I'm not optimistic that his production is going to be that great, unfortunately. In fact, my number 3 on my list is Tevin Coleman. Again, the Raheem Mostert factor. McKinnon's going to get the lion's share. Coleman, I think, might have actually out-carried Jerick McKinnon. Both are rosterable. Both should be rostered at this point, and I might even move those 2 guys. Might even move Coleman up over the course of the week. Joshua Kelly, he had 23 carries. I don't think he did particularly well with the carries that he got, at least when you compare them to what Eckler did, but he's getting volume. Henderson, who I just mentioned, and also Myles Gaskin. Look, Miami opened up the season against the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. It's pretty obvious if you watching live games. This is one of the ones I was able to watch today. I watched 7 live, thanks to multiple TV setup. Myles Gaskin, he is the lead dog in that running back. Yes, Jordan Howard got it in the end zone for the 2nd week in a row. If you're in a touchdown league, it's standard league. I do think Jordan Howard has there. He's the runner when Ryan Fitzpatrick is under center. But Miami will still be losing a while. And I do believe that when Tua takes over for Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I don't know, might come at the halfway point of the season, I think they'll be playing more shotgun. Myles Gaskin is already getting more carries, but he's also kind of the dominant guy in the shotgun setup there. Myles Gaskin should be rostered. Right now, he's only rostered in 12.4% of leagues. So that means basically you have an 88% chance, 87.5%, I guess, chance of getting Myles Gaskin at this point for free. He actually cleared my first round of waivers in my league last week, my primary league. So I picked him up, and I'm quite happy with him. So there you go. There's a full boat. Let me look at the live stream audience here, see if we have any questions. Yeah, Justin Herbert. Yeah, dude. He did screw a lot of people. He did. And he screwed me, I got to say, against the spread. I felt really good. And again, just betting. I felt good with Kansas City minus 8.5, because if you had told me, by the way, that I think, what did the Chargers put up? 17. If you had told me before the game that Chargers put up 17 points and would Kansas City cover, I'd feel pretty good about it. So you got to give credit. I do give credit to the Chargers defense. I'd like them, but I mean, come on. 90% of the people know what I'm talking about here with Kansas City, and the other 10% are Chargers fans. Kansas City should have really covered that spread, but once Herbert got in there, and the defense the Kansas City defense took a while to settle in, and Herbert was better than they thought. And I'm telling you, man, I said it in the quarterback segment, Justin Herbert, with a week of practice, I just really hope, as an NFL fan, I hope that the Chargers just go to Herbert now. Anyway, let's close out the Fantasy Football Fallout running back edition. I am going to be back. Check out the other videos, the other cut-ups for the wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, and defense and special team. And yeah, we'll catch you again soon. And for our live streamers, just a reminder, this is the raw cut, basically, of the Fantasy Football Fallout. So I'm doing this part live. I'm going to be cutting up these segments and basically releasing them on the channel tomorrow morning with some graphics and some video overlay. So I'm through quarterback. I'm through running back. Let's get over to wide receiver. We're going to do wide receiver, tight end, and defense and special teams. Let's see here. Let me pull up my graphics. All right. Fantasy Football Fallout wide receivers. We're talking about week 2. What happened? How does it affect and impact week 3? We're talking waiver wire acquisitions. If that's all you care about, just click the timestamp below. It will take you right there. Just want to remind everybody, please like, comment, subscribe. That really impacts us. That really helps us grow as a network. Also, if you want to connect with me on Twitter, you can find the link in the show notes below, but I am at TFS_Sean. Now, what I usually do here is I start with the ESPN projected top scoring wide receivers, and then I talk about who actually scored in the top 10, and then we give away our awards. I have a nut kick award. Who kicked me in the nuts at the wide receiver position? Who got you as well? I know somebody got you this week in fantasy. So like, comment, subscribe if you're on the live feed. Comment in the chat window, and I will get you there as well. So let's talk about ESPN's projected scoring top 10 coming into the week. ESPN had Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper, Adam Thielen, Allen Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, and Robert Woods in their top 10. Now, who actually scored in the top 10? For those picking this up in the episode, and you can see the graphic, the ones in white are the ones ESPN got correct. Not a great week at wide receiver for ESPN this week. Calvin Ridley, number 1, they got Then you had Stephon Diggs, Julian Edelman, Terry McLaurin at number 4, Mike Evans at number 5. ESPN also got correct there. Deontay Johnson, I think this is a sign of things to come for Mr. Deontay Johnson. Then you got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Tyreek Hill, and DeAndre Hopkins. So actually 2 receivers from Carolina. I think that will be kind of a recurring theme throughout the year as well. This offense in Carolina will support 2 receivers in the top 10 multiple weeks this year. That's not going to be a fluke by any means. Now, Deontay Johnson, I mentioned before, I love this offense for Pittsburgh. Claypool is going to be a monster. He's going to be a beast. I think that hurts James Washington more than it hurts Juju Smith-Schuster or Deontay Johnson. I just like this. And Eric Ebron, I'm never really a believer in tight end as a weekly play in daily fantasy sports for Pittsburgh. So I didn't really care about the Ebron signing when it happened. This team goes 4 wide more often than they really focus on the tight end, in my opinion. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, like I said, there'll be fixtures here. Robbie Anderson got the 1 touchdown. And these guys finished in the top 10 based on receptions and yardage. They didn't get in the end zone this week. So they'll be there. Terry McLaurin will be up and down with Dwayne Haskins playing. Stephon Diggs, I actually had him in my top 10 this week, as well as Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley might have actually been my top projected wide receiver, but I'll start sharing those with the masses pretty soon here. Yeah, so not a ton of surprises for me other than McLaurin. I didn't think McLaurin would be up there, but, Haskins has to throw the ball to somebody, and occasionally he actually completes a pass. So let's give away the award, my award for the player, the wide receiver that kicked me in the nuts. This is the Nut Kick Player of the Week. Somebody got you as well. Please comment below. I want to see, or I want to hear from you. Let's commiserate. But the one that got me is Will Fuller. It just breaks my heart every time because he's so talented, but he cannot stay on the field. His hamstring always betrays him. I'll be honest with you. I was surprised that he got through week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Unfortunately, he didn't get through. I don't even know if he was targeted. He might have gotten like 1 target or something like that, but I mean, he was not a factor. Then you see Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb get the uptick there with him out. It just really sucks, honestly, because as a fan of the game, you want to see players that can explode and that can get behind the secondary and get deep passes. They're fun to watch. And Will Fuller is one of these guys, but he can't stay on the field. And that's yet another reason why I just didn't think it was wise to trade DeAndre Hopkins, but so on and so forth. Let me go to the I have another one. I have a second Nut Kick Player of the Week award. You broke my heart. You broke my halls. Devontae Adams. What got me, it wasn't his stat line. You can't expect him to throw up like 40-something points or whatever you did in week 1. You can't expect that. And at some point, and I said this after they played the Minnesota Vikings, it's like, they like to throw to that guy. Maybe you want to double cover him off the line of scrimmage and not give him free releases on slants and all that. Obviously you credit Devontae Adams. He's a very good wide receiver, but Detroit, they had a game plan in place. They still got their tails whipped though, so it didn't really do anything for them. But the real thing is he came up with like a strained hamstring or something. So that's something now we have to monitor throughout the week that could impact him. Now the I'm Watching You award, I kind of mentioned him briefly. Claypool, Pittsburgh. This dude he's a monster. He reminds me physically of like Terrell Owens. The only thing keeping him away from being a star right now are Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster and James Washington. And it's only a matter of time before, just based on his skill set, before he's probably the 3rd receiver there. And I think it's going to be a lot of 3 wide. And Pittsburgh, like I was saying before, too, they go 4 wide. So James Washington will still have some run in this offense, even when Claypool gets more and more integrated. That dude is a beast. If you're in Dynasty, if you're in Keeper and he's available, you got to pick him up. He's not in any of my leagues, but if he's available for you, get him. And shame on me because I didn't include him in the waiver wire selection here. I should have. You need to pick him up now, buy low on him. But my waiver wire pickups this week, I'm adding him into the graphic now, but Chase Claypool, you should get him. Russell Gage, he's only owned in 20% of the leagues. 12 targets in week 1, 9 targets in week 2. He will be a fixture. And this Falcons team, they're going to give up points, which means they have to score points. They'll be aggressive all year long. I like Russell Gage. Brandon Ayuk, owned in 22% of the league. Remember, Debo is going to take a couple games to get back. I think he only had 3 or 4 targets. He got the Garoppolo ankle thing to wade through. I don't know. But, like Debo Samuel, he kind of popped in the second half of last year. Once Samuel comes back, The rookie there, I think he'll be pretty good. Zach Pascal, I have as number 3 now, only because Paris Campbell left the game with some kind of knee issue. I don't know what the deal is there. There are players dropping like flies this week. I loved Campbell. If Campbell is healthy enough, I'm not even sure if you can grab him on waivers, but certainly he's one. But it looked like Pascal was playing more on the outside. Yes, he got Pittman Jr. there. He'll be there. But Pascal is a guy who's trusted by this coaching staff and this team. And he got in the end zone, once or twice this week or something like that. So I think he should be picked up. Valdez-Scantling is somebody, he's only owned in 16.8% of the leagues. But if that hamstring issue with Adams is an issue and it keeps him out for a week or two or something like that, you basically have Allen Lazard and Valdez-Scantling, and those are guys are going to have to pick up the slack in the passing game. So definitely worth a waiver wire. I'd like Laviska Shenault more as a long-term play than somebody you want to install in your lineup right now. And Randall Cobb, I would say Brandon Cooks, but he's just owned in too many leagues as it is. I think he's over 80%. If Will Fuller's out for a couple of weeks, and hey, the odds are pretty good. This is Will Fuller we're talking about. Randall Cobb, just based on volume, could be somebody. It could be in the bottom of your flex. It's nothing I'd feel great about. But if you're looking for waiver wire and you missed out on all of the guys I talked about before, maybe Cobb is somebody you should reach out. So that does it for my content. I have a live stream going, so let me answer some questions. Let's see here. Oh, I got a few of them. Let's see. Traded Drake and Slayton for Ridley. What do you think? Well, Calvin Ridley, like I was saying with Russell Gage, I mean, Atlanta is going to be passing all season long. Now, Julio Jones came up a little lame. I was watching the game, but I had it on mute, so I didn't kind of hear what was going on, and I haven't had a chance to go back and look at the news yet. But regardless, right? Regardless if Calvin Ridley is the guy or if he's the secondary guy, he's going to get a ton of targets. I think you're safe there. It is a lot to give up. But it sounds like you probably needed a running back, so it's all good, Michael. Let's see here. Devontae Adams hurt me. Aaron Jones was a TD vulture. I said this. I'm not sure if you were with me in the live stream when I was talking about Aaron Jones in the beginning or at the running back segment. I apologize. Aaron Jones was very close, razor thin from being 3 touchdowns in week 1 as well. So, I mean, what did he get? 15 rushing touchdowns last year with another, 4 receiving? I mean, he gets a lot of touchdowns, and that kind of sucks. And then, defenses, they know what Green Bay wants to do. They want to go back shoulder and fade on Devontae Adams. So, but he'll get his. It's just the way the chips fall. Great players get in the end zone more often than they don't. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Should I trade Hilton and Kyler Murray for Hopkins and Robinson? Depends on PJ, depends on what you have at quarterback. I like that trade. And I'm a believer that you can usually find some guys like Ryan Tannehill. I did the quarterback segment. Ryan Tannehill's off to a pretty good start, and he finished the season strong last season. Look, he's not, Kyler Murray, but if you have a good quarterback option, you get that talent back. I like that move. Let's see here. Minshew. Oh, PJ, you guys had some chat. I'm moving down. I like Minshew as well, man. I think he's going to be a top 12 quarterback fantasy wise this year. And he could definitely have a higher ceiling than that. Let's see. Acres for David Montgomery. Oh, is that PPR, Rafa? I'm not sure about that, but it does look, here's the deal. It does look like the Rams is a 3-headed running back situation when Akers is healthy. The Bears is a 2 running back situation, so I would actually favor the Montgomery side. So if you can get him, I'm cool with that. Looking like last year for Jones. I agree with you, man. Looking Tree Hopper 99. Aaron Jones, I think he's going to be a stud again. I was a buyer on him. I personally got him in my primary league in the second round. I think it was pick 13. For some reason, I got Zeke at pick number 8, so I ended up with a Zeke and the Aaron Jones stack on the swing with the 8th pick. Can't argue against those picks at this point. I love them. So there you go. Anyway, that ties up the running back segment, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. Please, once again, like, comment, subscribe. For our live stream, we're going to keep things going into tight ends for the people that are picking up these clips. Check out the other clips. We got running backs, wide receivers that we're doing right now, obviously tight ends, defense and special team, and quarterbacks. And we post these on Monday morning as always. And for our live stream, what's going on with Gurley, Aladdin? Well, I'm never a big buyer on Dirk Cutter's offensive system for running backs. I think he's only had one running back really do well in his history, which was Michael Turner back in Atlanta, 6, 7, 8 years ago at this point. Gurley, Atlanta's trying to run the ball. I mean, they gave him like 21 yards or 21 carries today. there wasn't a lot of room. Dallas's defensive front is pretty good. So I'm not too concerned about that, but it was odd that Atlanta was up by so much so early in that game with the turnovers and didn't really stick with it. But that's Dirk Cutter's MO. He goes away from the run. What I was really surprised by more than anything was that they didn't integrate Gurley in the receiving game. It's like he's got really good hands and he could be a factor out there. But again, this is Dirk Cutter we're talking about. I think if you have the opportunity to trade Gurley, for somebody more stable, I would do that. But you probably at this point have to wait for a week for him to get in the end zone once or twice, rather than try to trade him this week because everybody's going to, basically be trying to buy low on you. So wait for him to pop. Hopefully he gets in. What do they play next week? Atlanta. They play Chicago. That's not a good matchup. So if you can get something good for him and more stable now, I would do it. I'm not a buyer on Gurley. I'm sorry. It's the system. It's not the player. Let's see here. All right. So I'm going to get to the tight end recording again. This is the raw file. I'm going to be cutting all these segments up, adding some graphics and uploading them up. They'll be live Monday morning. But for our live stream, keep the comments coming. I'll get to them after I get through my tight end content here. So here we go. Fantasy Football Fallout Tight End Edition. We're talking about what happened in week 2. How does it impact week 3? We're going to be giving you our waiver wire picks. If that's all you care about, just click the timestamp below. It'll take you right there. But before we get rolling here, please, everybody, like, comment, subscribe. That always helps. You can follow me on Twitter. We do lives. We do a ton of content on YouTube, youtube.com/theunderdog, as everybody knows. Subscribe to the network and follow me on Twitter at TFS_Sean. You can find the link below. But like I like to do, I like to start each of these fantasy football fallout segment with who ESPN projected to score in the top 10, who did score in the top 10. I hand out my awards, the Nut Kick Player of the Week for me. Somebody got me real good. I think he got a lot of, probably about 10% of you. Here's a little hint for everybody. 10% of you probably got kicked in the nuts at this guy, unless you're one of those lucky 10%. Actually, I have 2 of those awards to give out this week. And then I have 2 I'm Watching You awards actually this week as well. So there's a little bonus to the tight end crew. But let's get in to the projected top 10. ESPN's projected top 10 tight ends coming into this week. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry, Jared Cook, Chris Herndon, Evan Ingram, Dallas Goedert, Tyler Higbee. I got to be honest with you, that is the most vanilla top 10 I have ever seen. The only maybe eyebrow raiser there would have been Chris Herndon. He did not do wonders this week for people that had him in the lineup. Now, who actually scored in the top 10? Mike Gesicki had a monster game. You get Tyler Higbee. The ones that can see the graphics right now, the ones in white, are the ones ESPN got correct. So Tyler Higbee hit that, or ESPN hit Tyler Higbee. Then you got Jonnu Smith, Travis Kelce, obviously also right. Jordan Reed, I think that was a slam dunk with George Kittle out. If you follow me on Twitter, I was saying, hey, man, you got to pick this guy up. It's going to be vintage Jordan Reed, and that's exactly what we got. Dalton Schultz, Mo Alley Cox, Hayden Hurst, Noah Fant, and Hunter Henry. Now let's give away our first award of the week, our first Nut Kick Player of the Week. I should say co-player of the week at this point because I'm giving 2 of these away. The first one's Mike Gesicki. Now, I didn't actually get bit, but when I saw his game, I was like, how many people really started him? ESPN, according to them, said he was in about 10% of the leagues he was starting this week, probably because of the Devontae Parker fallout. And Parker ended up playing, by the way. Gesicki had himself a game. Got to be on your radar at this point. Second game in this new offensive system. When these players start to pop and they get these kinds of targets and these kind of yardage, find the end zone, all that stuff, you got to pay attention. The second player, the second Nut Kick Player of the Week for me, this one kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I was high on him coming into the season, but at this point I have to drop him. Rob Gronkowski. Look, coming off the chemistry issues against the New Orleans Saints, I thought, okay, if any week was the week for Gronkowski to pop, it would be this week when Brady needs a trusted person to throw to. This week when he's playing Carolina's defense, this is the week where Gronkowski's got to get like 7 or 8 targets to prove to me he's going to be a viable tight end for the rest of the season. Not only that, Chris Godwin is out. I mean, everything was stacked in favor of him getting targets. He got 1 target, complete non-factor. I'm selling all the stock, and I'm basically selling it for a penny. I mean, it's bad. Gronkowski, he'll be maybe a situational factor. He may be more of a daily fantasy guy, but you just can't count on him. I've watched now 2 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers games. Like I always tell people, I watched every single game, but this is one of the games today I've watched live. So I just not liking what I'm seeing from him. But let me get to some more positive news. The I'm Watching You award. The first one goes to Mo Alley Cox, who, with Doyle out, he got more opportunity. By the way, that happened 2 or 3 years ago with Eric Ebron. That season that Ebron went nuts for the Indianapolis Colts. Jack Doyle, I thought, was going to be the guy. He gets hurt early in the season. And then Ebron runs away with that job. Allie Cox looked physically imposing. He looked athletic, made some big plays, could have gotten in the end zone. Maybe he did, actually. I'm tired. It's really late. Maybe he did. But help me out there, live chat, folks. But bottom line is he looked really good. So he should be on your radar. Another guy I'm paying attention to at this point, Akins from Houston. Look, I'm not saying get him, but this is the second week in a row he's put up pretty decent yardage numbers on a team that now has lost Will Fuller and from last season, DeAndre Hopkins. Should be on your radar, everybody. So let me bring you now to the tight end, best waiver wire tight ends. Now, those guys should be on your radar. For me, I believe number one on my list at this point in terms of the likely to be there guys would be Jonnu Smith. He and Ryan Tannehill are playing quite well. And that red zone offense is great. And I think the play calling from Arthur Smith is great. Logan Thomas at number 2 for me. He got, I think, the most target. Maybe McLaurin out-targeted him this week, but he had another 9 targets. He'll be a factor all year. He looks very good. Arizona kept him out of the offense, so you might be able to still get him. He's available in about 90% of the leagues as of the time of this recording. Mike Gesicki, who I said before, you got to pay attention. He could be a special tight end, or maybe it was a fluke. But either way, if you have enough roster space and you need a tight end, you should make that bet. You got Greg Olsen on this list. I was surprised he only got 1 target today, so he's kind of down on this list. And then I would say Allie Cox or Doyle from Indianapolis. You know, this tight end position, Phillip Rivers likes to throw to his tight ends. Frank Reich likes to call plays for his tight ends. So I'm still a believer on Indianapolis tight end. But Allie Cox, I mean, he looked pretty good to me today. He could be that guy. So let me get to, for our live stream, let me see if we have any more. I got one comment. Derek Carr going to have 346 yards. That's quite the specific prediction. 340. How many touchdowns do you think he'll get? You let me know. After tight end section, in my 12-team league, Treehopper says, I have Tom Brady, Teddy Bridgewater. Nut kick award for me goes to Brady. Actually, you know, when I was looking, I did the quarterback section. I picked Ryan Fitzpatrick just because in betting, he hurt me with that late cover. But Brady was my guy because he was projected at number 3, and he ended up with pretty low points. But his receivers need to do a better job. LaShawn McCoy dropped a sure touchdown pass. I think there was another sure touchdown pass that was dropped later in the game. I mean, the receivers need to step up. I do think Brady will be fine, but yeah, it was kind of a gut punch, right? For Brady, if you're talking about quarterback, who should I target for a trade? You know what? Maybe check back and check out too. There should be an email address in this live stream below where you can access free rankings, because I do put projections out from my reading list, and they're completely free. So just email me and I'll get you there, because I think the week 3 stuff is going to go out on Tuesday morning. But I mean, I like guys off the waivers. I like Tannehill off the waivers. I like Goff off the waivers. I like Minshew off of waivers if he's available. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with any of those options. And I think I'm actually higher on them at this point than I am on Brady. But, you know, Brady does still have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I mean, don't overreact, I don't think, to these first 2 weeks. Last week, he looked rusty. This week, he looked sharp. And to me, it was the receivers that were failing him. So, you know, give it another week or two, and he could be in that top 10. Just keep in mind the receivers, they're giant and they're awesome. So they're pretty good there. Did you see the Dallas versus Atlanta game? I did see it. I saw it. It's one of the 3 that I had going early in the game. Dallas basically coughing up the ball 3 times in the first quarter. Atlanta gets a giant lead, and then Dallas at the end of the game. What really struck me with that is the end of the game. Atlanta, they're avoiding the football like it was COVID or something. I mean, they're just sitting there watching it spin slowly. You're allowed to hop on it. When you're the recovering team, you're allowed to hop on it. It was just kind of spinning slowly, and they're just staying away from it like it was a punt. You know, like they didn't want the ball to be live. And I know that is the scenario, but, you know, Dallas was running full steam, just waiting for that thing to cross the 10-yard line. That was awful execution. Now, here's the thing is Atlanta, the rails are coming off, kind of. They're going to fire their coaching staff. I think that's definitely going to happen. I don't know about mid-season, but, you know, they're not going to be here next year. I was surprised that he kept his job thanks to that late finish that they had last year. I was surprised that he kept his job. But bottom line is Atlanta's going to have a new coach next year. But their offense is good enough to still win you 6 games. And they could still go on a run at the end of the season. I just think that the coaching, even if they go on a run at the back half of the year, I think it's over for them. But Atlanta's not a bad team. Their defense is rough, but hey, Tampa's defense was rough last year. Now they look fantastic. So they're not that far off. They have skills, but my gosh, I cannot believe that they let Dallas come back. That was wild. Anyway, I'm going to close out the tight end segment. Thanks to everybody for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe below, and check back weekly. Check back the other positions because I got quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and defense and special teams as well. And for our live stream, remember, yeah, dude, Tree Hopper, yeah, dude. I shouldn't generalize you. I'm assuming you're a guy, but gosh, I don't know. Tree Hopper. Maybe you're Tree Hopper 99. Not guy. I don't know. It's late. I've been watching football all day. So I got defense and special teams to get to. And for the raw recording, I'm going to cut up. I'm not going to upload these live tonight. They start hitting tomorrow morning. So if you want to see the graphics and all that stuff, you can check that out starting tomorrow morning, Monday, when these things normally hit. And we do stick to that schedule every week. My live stream, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. If you've been here for a while, just a reminder, we've done already running back, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. I'm going to film these because I do these segments every week. I'm going to film this, and then I'll get back to the comments on the screen towards the end of my cut up here. So here we go. The defense and special teams. Let me get a little bit of water first. All right. Fantasy football fallout, defense and special teams. What happened in week 2? How does that pertain to what will happen in week 3? Who are the waiver wire acquisitions for you? And by the way, if all you care about is waiver wire, click the timestamp below. It will take you right there. But what I like to do is run through ESPN's top 10 projected, who actually scored in the top 10, especially with defense. There's always so much interesting variance to see who finished in the top 10 and why that happened. Then we're going to give away some awards. I have a Kicked in the Nuts award a week for defense. I'm sure somebody got you as well. Were you playing that person who started a team defense and they get them like 35 points? That always happens to me. If they got you as well, comment below. I always like hearing those stories. And then I have an I'm watching you for defense and special teams. So one of each award. Please, everybody, also please like, comment, subscribe. We thrive on that stuff. Literally, it means so much to us if you could subscribe and comment. That really helps us grow as a channel. We would appreciate it. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. There's a link in the show notes below. Now, let's talk about ESPN's projected top 10 on defense in order: Buffalo, San Francisco, Arizona, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, Baltimore. Who actually scored in the top 10? By the way, here's something before I read the top 10. Here's something I'm shocked by. San Francisco, they gave up 13 points. They did not finish in the top 10 in defense and special teams, playing that Jets team without Le'Veon Bell and without Jamison Crowder, and with Herndon getting them nothing. That's wild. So we had a lot of good defensive scoring teams at this point. When you get those sacks and turnovers, man, that really boosts your defense and special teams. But let's talk about who did score. If you're seeing this graphic, the team names written out in white means that ESPN got this correct. So they hit 4 out of the 10 so far. Baltimore, number 1, Indianapolis, number 2 against Minnesota. Man, they really throttled. Kirk Cousins had an maybe the worst game of his career. That was bad. Pittsburgh, number 3, Tampa Bay, number 4, Green Bay, number 5. Green Bay's defense looks really good. I know they gave up some points late in the game to Minnesota they were playing prevent. They really kind of stuck strong, although they still gave up 21 points, but Detroit, and Matt Stafford, they're all right. But they can sack the quarterback and they can produce turnovers. So pay attention to them, everybody. Chicago, number 6, they're back, man, as a defense. They're not as good as they were 2 years ago, but they're back as a top 10 defense. Arizona, they're playing Washington. Washington, might have, I know we have Washington, fans on here, but I think Dwayne Haskins might be the worst starting quarterback in the league. He's raw. I'm not saying he can't be good, but he's just not good right now. Arizona, then you got the New York Giants, and you got the LA Rams at number 9, and New England snuck in at number 10 in spite of giving up 35 points. They had that pick 6. That always helps. So let me give you the award in the week, the team, the unit that really got me. And it got me. I've been doing these segments, so there's a recurring theme for my live stream here. They got me because they couldn't help me cover the freaking spread. You broke my heart. You broke my balls. The Buffalo Bills team defense. Now, Josh Allen, I've been saying all offseason, if he can be a 60% passer, if he can take that next step, this Buffalo Bills team could be like last year's Ravens. I'm talking like 12-4, 13-3, even 14-2, although it's going to be tough now that we know how good the Patriots are. But yeah, man, Buffalo, I thought they were going to throttle throttle the Miami Dolphins, but credit Miami Dolphins and credit Ryan Tannehill, man. Sometimes, 6 times a year, he gets the juice, man. He gets the juice, and he scores some points. Top 10 fantasy quarterback this week. Go figure, against a really, really good Buffalo Bills defense. But no shade at Buffalo, man. They're a good defensive unit. Divisional matchup. The coaching staff knows them very well. It happens from time to time, but it's not like you're going to be selling on Buffalo. But I'm sure if you were starting them, you probably thought you were going to get a lot of points in your lineup this week. If you're playing daily fantasy, that looked like a good one, along with the San Francisco 49ers and New York Jets. Neither one of them scored in the top 10. You got to be kidding me. Now, I'm watching you award, a unit I'm paying very special attention to at this point. I've watched both games of the NFL season. Tampa Bay Bucks, they're for real. We knew coming into the season they could stop the run. My big question was, well, look, I know they can stop the run. I know that their pass rush is very talented and they can stack the quarterback. But my problem was they weren't doing enough in the secondary for me to think of them any other than a volatile week-to-week daily fantasy play. Well, the addition of Antoine Winfield Jr. in their secondary has really improved the secondary play, in my opinion. They have multiple levels of defense. I don't think that they're fully there, but Todd Bowles is an excellent defensive coach. That defensive line we already talked about. I think the secondary is improved. Carolina is not a bad passing team, and they played New Orleans in the first week of the season. They're a very, very good defense and special teams unit, which brings me to my waiver wire selections. Number one, and I'm actually including the opponents in this one as well, because that's so important for daily fantasy and fantasy sports and all that. But Tampa Bay plays Denver. Now, Drew Lock, their starting quarterback, went out with a shoulder injury. Is he going to be back or not? As of the time of this recording, I don't know. Driscoll could be the quarterback, who actually probably at this point might give a defense like Tampa Bay a little bit more fits than Drew Lock. I don't know. It's a coin flip for me. Drew Lock obviously is I think, an ascending talent. But at this point for him, so there's not a big book on him yet. But Tampa Bay, I think they're at this point the consensus number 4 defense for the first 2 games of the season. They're playing kind of inexperienced quarterback. Philip Lindsay's not in the game. Cortland Sutton might have left the game again. I'm not sure, but he's been banged up. I like this. Tampa Bay's only owned 43.4% of the leagues. Now, number 2, you have the Arizona Cardinals. Their defense is much improved. I thought they added the best, most impactful defensive player in the draft. Well, I guess Chase Young is probably, I've been saying that a lot. Chase Young, I think, is the best defensive player in the draft. But for Arizona to add Simmons, that's exactly what this defense needed. And they're good. Now, they've had a pretty good run to start the year. They got to play San Francisco. Yeah, great running team, but the receivers were hurt. Then you play Washington. You got Dwayne Haskins at quarterback. Arizona next week is playing Detroit. Detroit can pass the ball. Detroit can run the ball. So that'll be their test, but they're a team that you can bet on at this point. Washington, they can sack the quarterback. I thought, they were overmatched on what Kyler Murray can do for them. But them playing Cleveland, it's not like Baker Mayfield's going to be running around like a water bug, in between the defensive players. It's like Tecmo watching that guy run. Washington's not going to have to deal with that with Baker Mayfield. Question to me is, we haven't really seen Washington. They played Philadelphia in week 1 without Miles Sanders. You played Arizona. They're not really a power running team. Cleveland's going to try to run the ball through the front of that defense and tie that defensive line down. I'm curious to see how that works, right? I'm kind of a bettor, and then obviously we got the fantasy football daily fantasy stuff, but I'm curious as a spectator to see how the Washington football team's defensive line will hold up to the pounding of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt coming down the line, because I don't think this is a game where Washington's going to come out to a big lead. If anything, it's more likely that Cleveland comes out to the lead, which means they lean on that run game a little bit more. How it's really the fitness. How good a shape is this defensive lineman? I know they're pretty deep, and I know they have a ton of talent on the defensive line. So again, as a spectator, this is a very interesting test for a very talented Washington football team defensive line. Washington, by the way, is only owned in 12% of fantasy leagues. Tennessee, 28.8% owned. They need to be higher than that. Come on, everybody. They play Minnesota next week. We saw Minnesota struggle against Indianapolis. Minnesota's offense, they haven't looked as good. It's going to come around. I'm not worried, Vikings fans. I'm not worried about Minnesota at all, but it is noteworthy that they haven't really looked sharp and cohesive yet. I think the loss of Stephon Diggs is bigger than people might have realized. It's not like Jefferson was really coming. And look at what Diggs is doing in Buffalo. And look at Josh Allen's numbers. mean, that second wide receiver, I think probably everybody's a little surprised at how impactful that loss was. But you look at the target totals, like BC Johnson, Jefferson, they're not getting any at this point. Tight ends are a little bit down. I know Kubiak wants to involve Rudolph and involve Irv Smith. That's not really happening, which means people are tightening up because they're not making him pay deeper and in the secondary. So they're tightening up and kind of trying to stop Dalvin Cook. You cannot contain this team is too talented. You can't contain them season long, but they're struggling right now. And I like Tennessee. I like Tennessee, the organization. I think they're well coached and they're smart. They play well. They're disciplined. They can sack the quarterback and they get turnovers. So I like Tennessee this week as well. Number 5, Green Bay. I believe they're also a consensus top 10 defense through the first 2 weeks of the season. Only owned in 4.7% of the league. So there's an over 95% chance that they'll be available. And then lastly, I'm giving you a bonus selection here. Seattle, the Seattle Seahawks defense, 33.3% owned. The only thing I don't like, and the reason I don't have them in the top 5 is I like them season long, but they're playing a Dallas Cowboys team that has looked sharp now 2 weeks in a row. Outside of the first quarter of the Falcons game today where they turned the ball over 3 times. They can pass the ball. The tight end's better than I thought. 3 deep at wide receiver, very good wide receivers in Gallup, Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. Obviously, you got Ezekiel Elliott running the ball, but even his backup and Tony Pollard's pretty damn good. Dak Prescott is good. Now, I think Seattle probably wins the game. Don't get me wrong. But this could be a higher scoring game, and it could be one of these kind of games where Seattle doesn't get a ton of turnovers. But, we'll see. By the way, it's funny that Atlanta got 3 turnovers and they couldn't find themselves into the top 10 of the defense. Man, they're just things are going bad for Atlanta. That stinks. But there you go. There's a full episode. Reminder to the people picking this up. We got quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends all in different episodes. So check the full week 3 playlist. Once again, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know who got you in the nuts. Let me know who you think your top waiver play is for this week as well. I'd like to hear that. Comment below, and we'll be interactive. Now for our live stream, let's see here. Oh yeah, Buffalo, a tree hopper. Yeah, man, Buffalo. Woo, that's bad. But they'll be fine. Every defense is probably going to have 1 or 2 weeks where they're not going to be that elite, right? Let's see here. And I think that's it. I think that's all for the comments. Got you, Tree Hopper. I appreciate you kind of staying tuned and being interactive as well. Everybody, please like, comment, subscribe. Once again, we do lives throughout the week. We break out every single game. We put our own fantasy football projections out there. We're not just regurgitating rankings from like Fantasy Pros. Respect to Fantasy Pros. I like them. But we're not just regurgitating rankings. We actually put our own projections out there. You can sign up for the rankings and the playlist and all that stuff. Appreciate the time. Everybody have a great week. We'll be back with some advice as well. Talk to you then. All right, so that does it for the fantasy football fallout, guys. That's my raw recording. If you want to come back, it really does help if you want to support the channel. Certainly liking and subscribing will do that. But if you make a point to like flag the video and watch the week 3 playlist, because what ends up happening on this channel is we do the fantasy football fallout. They release Mondays. Then I record my Fantasy Football Almanac podcast, which talks about every single game of the week. I clip those out. Those start hitting on Monday afternoon, but the bulk come out on Tuesday. Then I have a power rankings come out Tuesday, Wednesday. We do waiver wire projections, start and sit projections on Wednesday, Thursday, and we also do the Get Paid podcast where we talk about our top 5 matchups of the week and go into great detail. So if you're curious, you can actually look at the week 2 playlist and see all the volume of videos. We probably had like 30 videos on there this week. That's normal for the channel. We'll keep doing that, and I'm going to be unveiling the game plan series as well. I'm just waiting for. I'll probably start that in week 4 because I don't have a ton of data. I want to see what the offenses and defenses are doing to each other analytically, and we need some more stuff. So, hey, everybody, have a great night. It's late. I got some editing to do, and we'll talk again soon. Appreciate it.